What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here for the Fightful.com podcast. November 1st edition. We're talking Smackdown. We're talking UFC, Ronda Rousey, all kinds of stuff. Brought to you by TrigTent.com. Next week is election week. We are 1 week away. 1 week from now in this podcast, we will be talking Smackdown and election stuff. Just crazy election stuff that'll probably get me unfollowed by half of my followers, honestly. Twitter might remove my verification. I'm going to get hate mail. Anytime I have talked politics, I have gotten hate mail, but maybe I could do a little something for TrigTent. Probably not. Sounds like a terrible idea. Sounds like a good way to put Fightful under. But either way, head over to TrigTent.com. They've got your political coverage. They got some fun stuff over there. Also on it, go to our podcast page, Fightful.com/podcast. Open up any of our pages, and you will see that big blue on it link. Click it. Support us. Enjoy. We had one of our viewers, Scott Frame, told us that he just checked it out today. So thank you to him for that. I love On It, even if I'm not working out. Sometimes you just feel too beaten down to work out. And if you're feeling too beaten down, New Mood and Alpha Brain are the right supplements for you. It gives you much deeper sleep, gives me better night's sleep. Also, Alpha Brain helps me stay focused for these long hours for this week. James Ellsworth is a big part of WWE storyline. And finally, I get to talk about it with Alex Pawlowski, who is filling in for Jeff Hawkins tonight. Alex, how did you like Tuesday night Ellsworth? Tuesday night Ellis, if you listen to Dasha Fuentes.
That's right. Tuesday night Ellsworth. Elworth. Ellis. Elephant. I am probably in a great minority in that I've been done with Ellsworth for weeks.
How dare you?
I know. I'm a curmudgeon. I'm a grouch. I liked him a lot more in this episode than, say, the last two. The problem I have with him is not with him specifically, but the storyline he is in brings out the worst in Ambrose, and that hurts the main event scene that he's got going on with Styles. So I'm kind of just basically anti that whole storyline, and because Ellsworth is the catalyst that makes that storyline move, I've kind of realized that I've been really blaming him for that, and that's unfair.
We have breaking news on the show.
Oh, yeah?
Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles in a TLC match at TLC for the title. They're booking this match well ahead of time. I like that too.
They should. Absolutely. No, I mean that's the program that they've obviously been pushing towards. There was some chatter that it was going to be Randy Orton after the Ambrose feud ended. Right now, it looks like Orton's doing something else right now that I'm very pleased about, but we'll get to that. Anyway, the whole Ellsworth thing, he's cute. He's a cute little cuddly koala bear, and I like him fine. But that storyline is just it just brings out more wacky Dean antics, and I'm not down for that.
I don't know if he's been that wacky though.
No, like a couple.
Ellsworth's been the wacky one.
No, well,
and AJ.
Well, the deal is that you have Dean, the first time as the special guest referee, pulling all manner of crap out of his pockets and handing it over to AJ because that's hilarious. And then the week after that, well, there you go. No accounting for taste.
What the hell was that supposed to mean?
I'm saying it's entirely subjective. You wrote that in a tweet, I think, yesterday or this morning. It is. Everything's entirely subjective, and my thing, I've always been anti-wacky Dean. And then the following week, with all the hijinks he did at ringside, a lot of it could also be because I'm of the opinion that AJ is the best thing in the entire company right now and deserves to be in a main event, like top-level kind of program. And right now I feel like it's more of a circus sideshow kind of a thing. And he should be being taken seriously by the top brass. And the fact that they're having him do this instead, kind of irks me. But I liked the main event today. I thought it was great. And yes, absolutely, have Dean win. Absolutely put them in a TLC match because that's going to be great. You know, I'm looking forward to it.
I kept a SmackDown blog, by the way, guys. You all seem to like the Raw one I did in place of Vince Russo this week. He will not be around this week, unfortunately. He's still handling the death of his mother. So, again, wish him the best. We certainly do. Condolences out to Vince. My big takeaway is James Ellsworth has a theme.
Yeah.
It's not a bad theme either.
It's a generic Hard Rock 2002 WWE entrance theme, but it's fine.
You are a generic Hard Rock 2002 entrance theme.
Guilty as charged.
I like the story around Ellsworth. They've taken a guy that people genuinely like.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a little story. I was going to do an interview with him the week after the Braun Strowman thing, and it was I think it was early in the days of Fightful, and I just got so damn busy. We had like UFC 200, and everybody was failing drug tests and WWE Draft, and I just couldn't make it work. But man, he could not have been nicer. I've never had anybody, first off, get back to me so quick on an interview request and be so nice to me when we couldn't make it work. But yeah, I'm certainly wishing that I would have made it work at this point.
Yeah.
JBL's disdain for Ellsworth is hilarious.
That is the biggest reason why I know I must be wrong. Because if I'm agreeing with JBL, there's something's wonky.
Yes.
I do not want him as my ally, so I'm trying to rethink my opposition.
JBL can say, it's a flying Uso, and I'd be like, no, the hell it's not.
It certainly isn't.
Also, Otunga with the dumbass line of the night where he says, take your chin and get out of here. He doesn't have a chin, dumbass. How dare you?
David Otunga is just the literal dirt worst.
You know, it's amazing to me that guy wins at so much stuff. He's such an intelligent dude. Harvard Law, Jennifer Hudson. He was a tag champion with John Cena. He made it to the WWE. He's an analyst on I can't remember what channel. I would love to see the shackles come off and him maybe not have to be so corny and generic. He and Byron Saxton are so bad and generic.
It's really, it's really kind of telling that Vince overproduces the two black guys on his announced squads to be the most ridiculously cornball,
white dudes,
aw shucks kind of thing. It's just kind of uncomfortable if you think about it, but
it is.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when they did that with Byron Saxton, and he would go out of his way, like almost like he was instructed to, like he didn't know anything about black culture.
Yeah.
Like they would bring up stuff and he'd be like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, Jesus, man. Like, you know, and it wouldn't have bothered me if it wasn't so obvious that it was set up to be that way. I'm like, man, that's really weird that they do that. I like the opening segment. It was really elementary, but like I said, I don't mind that as long as it's good. By the way, guys, you want to know something that's good? Fightful.com. Tons of exclusives. Go to our exclusive section. Check them out. Maybe you've never been there. Click that little button. We got podcasts all the time. 5 to 7. We're coming up on our 100th very, very soon. I need to find out when that'll be. It might be this weekend, actually. Might be. Either way, we've got all your wrestling, MMA, and boxing news. You can go to Fightful.com/MMA/wrestling/boxing if you don't like either one of the other sports. Also, we post the most awesome media in our videos section, MMA, wrestling, and boxing. All your countdown shows, your embedded shows, your free fights, Halloween-related things. We get it all up on Fightful.com. If you missed Raw, the next morning we post videos from Raw, Smackdown, all that stuff on the site. Go there, register. You'll get early access to podcasts. You'll get access to our contests we're about to run for games, signed books, DVDs, and to our forums, which are about to blow up. So they ran a Baron Corbin vignette about, 4 or 5 months too late.
Better late than never. That thing was awesome. I'm so excited for actually taking Baron Corbin seriously. They put him on the Survivor Series team. They're taking this guy seriously. Push him, to the moon, I say. I love him.
You know what I would do? I'm big on explaining things, covering plot holes. If I were Shane McMahon or Daniel Bryan, I would say on that, on Talking Smack, or, you know, he had a rough start, but to be completely honest, he was dealing with an injury. Say something like that. Explain that loss to Dolph Ziggler, because as we've seen, losing to Dolph Ziggler isn't the worst thing in the world right now. Back then, it was pretty bad. But if I were Daniel Bryan, I would say, yeah, he was dealing with a knee injury. We really shouldn't have held off, or Raw really should have held off, or whatever the hell. I think it was on Raw back then. But they wanted him up on the main roster so badly, and he wanted to be there. He wanted to be out of NXT so badly that he fought through an injury, and that's why he lost to Ziggler. I think that would be important.
It was a lousy feud, but Ziggler never beat him clean. He hit a quick flash roll-up, surprised him, and then kicked him in the junk. All the times when Corbin beat him...
Right in the wiener.
Yeah, right in the wiener. When Corbin beat him, he skirted the rules a couple of times, but he did beat him clean once. So, I mean, I think Corbin kind of got the better of that. And I'm like, I love that he goes on Talking Smack. He says, give me something. I beat everybody you put in front of me. I demolished Jack Swagger in under 2 minutes. Give me a challenge. And they did. They put him on the Survivor Series team, but they didn't address the fact that they were giving him that challenge. I hope they do that next week.
You know what I hate?
What's that?
The term jobber entrance, because it happens to everybody now, almost everybody. Because I saw so many people going, Carmella and Nikki and Alexa got the jobber entrance. Go to hell.
Yeah,
the people who got the jobber entrance won the damn match.
Right. The thing about it is that you can't complain about the shows being too long and then say, no, I'd rather watch a full 2-minute entrance for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, those things do not jive. You got to have one or the other. And personally, I know what their entrance looks like. You can do it during commercial. I know. I can remember it from last time.
Well, this match was real shitty. It was bad. But I love that Alexa Bliss is using the DDT as a finish. And it's a damn good-looking DDT, too.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like the old Raven even flow.
I loved it. Somebody says Sean Ross Sapp is so mean and aggressive. He's hostile. I'm a little more hostile here than I was at my former employer. I'm giving a lot more. Somebody says Sean Ross Sapp is on the juice. I wish I was. I wish I was on the juice, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm not allowed to be a little more open at this employer, because I would rather give you all the news and give you all an honest opinion than maybe be docile. Somebody says Sean Ross Sapp is only on it. Yeah, you're damn right I am. You're damn right I am, guys. Go check that out at our podcast page. I thought that what did you think of the match?
Yeah, it was sloppy. It was over quicker than I thought it was going to be. I'm glad that they allowed Alexa to look really strong before the match against Becky next week. I like the interplay between Carmella and Alexa. I like that they're, as friendly as two heels can be. I like that. And, hey, I like Becky and Nikki together. I think that's a cool little tech. I also thought it was interesting that Nikki decided to go all black with the hair. With that was an interesting little dye job she did. But the big thing about this segment was the promo after it. I thought that Alexa she's the best in the entire division on the mic, and she shows it again. And Carmella, when she's not trying to remember how to say things in a Staten Island accent, isn't terrible. And she's going to get better as they give her more chances. I'm really excited about the Survivor Series 5-on-5 women's match.
I think that's going to be the whole damn show, to be honest.
The whole show is going to be great. But I did not expect to be as excited as I am about the women's match.
I'll get into my excitement for Survivor Series shortly. I agree with you on Alexa being the best in among all the women at promos, period. I thought this one was corny, and I didn't like Carmella calling out Bayley because we know they're best friends.
Right.
Now, if she would have explained it, I'm a big on explaining it. Say, Bayley turned out not being who I thought she was when we went our own path, we went different ways. That'd be something. But I thought this one was a little much. I did like Alexa kicking, who was it, Renee, out of the ring? She kicked somebody out of the ring.
Dasha. She kicked Dasha out of the ring.
She should.
She should
kick her the hell back to NXT after she mispronounced
the thing is, I like
the God Ellsworth's name.
That's what I was talking about, was when Alex was doing great stuff. That whole thing, like, no. That was amazing, and that was all Alexa. The stuff at the end where she was using lines from Wizard of Oz, a movie that is now, 80 years old? Like yes. Vince just saw it last week and says, hey, put that in there. It's timely. That's not good. But if you're not writing for her, because you don't need to, because she's great. Like, I'm talking smack. That's all her, and she's amazing. So, yeah, just let her go because she can do it on her own.
What are the odds that JBL makes a Judy Garland or Frank Morgan reference on next week's SmackDown? Because he's about as timely as that joke, usually.
Yeah. No, he's not. JBL.
Which is the one that didn't have the heart?
That was the Tin Man.
The Tin Man? He'll be like, he's got as much heart as Jack Haley. One of those. I know. That's, you know how he does.
Yes, I do.
Cool. American Alpha's still on the roster.
Yeah.
And they beat Spirit Squad. Cool.
Yeah, I was legitimately excited for it. When Spirit Squad came out, I for a second thought they were going to like wrestle the Vaudevillains or something and actually make the Survivor Series roster.
Shit. Oh man. Now this was the right. So you can't give Spirit Squad a tag title match now. You can't. No. They just lost to American Alpha.
That's true.
Common sense would say.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, common sense isn't always the best way to go about it. What do you think about them rehashing the Miz Daniel Bryan thing? And this was really a lot of rehashing of their Talking Smack thing. And a lot of people, even our live tweeter, Kyler James, was like, is this leading to a Miz Daniel Bryan match? No, it's not.
They're pushing it so hard. It's really kind of they really are. Like
could you imagine? I'll cut you off. Could you imagine if the Daniel Bryan thing was all an angle for Total Bellas? Now it's not. But could you imagine the rage in which people would feel? The utter, just livid anger and rage. Because it's the type of thing that WWE would try to pull.
Well, they always try and make real life into a wrestling angle. They're pushing this thing so hard that, I mean, it almost feels cruel to do it this way, and then to having no intention of ever actually following through with it, because both of them are so good. It's a damn shoot in the ring anytime they're talking to each other. I loved this segment, and I'm a big fan of anything that can happen now with The Miz, because I feel like he's too good for them to leave off of the Survivor Series card in some way. And that,
Oh, I think he'll definitely be on the card somehow, or he'll be involved somehow. It'll further him.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan says that Miz isn't a fighting champion. Now, what I liked is that in storyline, Daniel Bryan was right this time. On Talking Smack a few months ago, he was not right in any way. Now, if he would have said this maybe the week after The Miz completely whiffed on catching R-Truth years ago, that would be one thing. But as Miz said, he's always there. Unless he's filming a movie, he's there. Now, last week, he ran away from an offered Intercontinental title match. There's no excuse for that.
Right.
There is no excuse for that. So Daniel Bryan called him on it. Dolph Ziggler came out, did an open challenge. It was the debut of Curt Hawkins. Why in the shit did Curt Hawkins get hired? Why did Jinder Mahal get hired? What was the point? Now, I'm not saying that Ty Dillinger would have gotten this gimmick over, but in this spot, Ty Dillinger would have flourished and exceeded any expectations in that role. Being just – nobody's going to make the face the facts thing work. But Ty Dillinger would just be a better use than Curt Hawkins at this point. And he's sitting down there, and they're finally using him in NXT. But I'm just like, you got a guy probably cheaper on your payroll already. Bring him up.
Listen, I'm all for giving Ty Dillinger more opportunities, but if Ty Dillinger was on the main roster doing this gimmick and losing to Dolph Ziggler in 7 seconds, I'd be pissed.
Sure.
Because I want Ty Dillinger to get a real shake. I don't want him to come
there's no plans for that. There are no plans for him to ever be on the main roster.
Right. And the thing is, what he's doing in NXT right now is great. He's great in NXT. And he's always going to be much, much more over with the fans there than he would ever be up here. But, I mean, if you're going to have Curt Hawkins out there jobbing to people, that's fine. Somebody's got to do it. They're not going to give – not everybody can be stars. I understand that. I get upset when people like Rusev job out. You know what I mean? I have no problem with Curt Hawkins jobbing out. That's his role. That's what he's supposed to do. That's Jinder Mahal's role. I mean, that's just the way, like, you know, as we learned from The Rock 20 years ago, sometimes it's time to shut up and know your role. And that's what Curt Hawkins is. I was hoping for a Baron Corbin, a Baron Corbin answering the call and coming out and beating Ziggler and becoming IC champion, because at that point we didn't know about Ziggler's challenge to the Raw roster, and we knew Corbin was on the Survivor Series roster and Ziggler wasn't. So maybe I thought there was a chance you were going to give it to Corbin and let him carry the belt into that match, which would have been interesting. But
well, as you mentioned, Ziggler made an open challenge to anybody on the Raw roster. That's cool. What they're doing with Survivor Series, very cool, especially if this brand split sticks. They are building it up as the one night. Now, obviously, it'll happen at the Royal Rumble too, but the one night that SmackDown and Raw go head-to-head. Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It's better than that dumbass bragging rights pay-per-view they had where they tried to build that, but it just didn't work.
I give it until 2018 before that's back again.
Bragging rights?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I would say so, because they'll be like, oh, okay, now Survivor Series means something. Well, let's bring another show in.
Yeah.
That's probably what they'll do. Yeah, the Hawkins thing.
Who do you think answers Ziggler's challenge from Raw?
Let me look at the roster, and I'll get back to you.
My thought immediately was Rusev.
Yeah.
He's got nothing else to do, which is interesting. My hope, though, since follow me down the rabbit hole of this conspiracy here, The Miz is wearing red for tonight. He's talking about the Raw roster and how he hopes that they beat SmackDown. Mm-hmm. Maybe somehow The Miz finds a way to jump over to Raw, then answers Ziggler's challenge for the IC title at Survivor Series.
Yeah.
You know, find a way to do that.
Also, Sami Zayn could be an option.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have anything going on there. Which I would really like it if they did do a cruiserweight Survivor Series elimination match. Your surprise captains are Neville and Sami Zayn.
That'd be great.
And then, because Brian Kendrick wasn't made a captain, he's pissed off at whoever captains his team. And that leads to a natural feud because he's an egomaniac. And he thinks, I'm the champion. I should be captaining this, whether it's Neville or Sami Zayn. Right. Probably Neville, because Zayn's got Braun Strowman. But I think that'd be cool. But yeah, Curt Hawkins, don't get it. He got beaten like 5 seconds. That was cool. Sure. Somehow, I completely missed the Randy Orton-Kane match. I didn't see it.
Oh, it's great.
At all. Was it really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was great for me because I love it. He comes out, they're wrestling a little bit, and then blah, 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 and then the lights go out, and then Wyatt and Harper come out, and then Kane attacks them.
I saw the highlights. They showed the replay later in the show, and I'm like, what happened? Where was this? I didn't see it at all, and I could have swore I watched it the whole damn time.
It was the second segment, I think, of the entire thing. I loved all the layers of this, that Harper doesn't trust Orton, and Bray shouldn't trust Orton, but Bray honestly thinks, hey, man, what if I actually am a god? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, that's a really cool thing. Later in the night, you have this weird thing where Orton's eyes light up. Like, it's something different.
Bray thinks that he's worked himself into a shoot, and I like it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I have no interest in these guys as singles. None. Not a friggin' lick.
Right.
But together, I'm very interested.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing that's really interesting. If you look at a lot of what's going on, if you really look at it, they having Harper really distrust Orton, and at one point Harper is going to feed Kane to the Sister Abigail, but Orton jumps in the way and does it himself. And it's this weird thing. I wonder if Orton's plan is to turn Harper against Wyatt at some point, because Harper versus Wyatt is a feud I would get behind. I would like to see that.
I wouldn't mind seeing that too. It'd have to have some substance behind it, though.
Yeah.
Who thought that the guy that was going to break out as a single star in the Wyatt family thus far, in my mind, Braun Strowman?
Right. That's the thing. Also, we got a little intrigue in that Survivor Series match. Also, since Braun is on Team Raw.
Ooh, I didn't even think about that.
Wyatt is on Team SmackDown. I would love if they could figure out a way of having Wyatt try to use his old mind control powers on Strowman to attack Raw guys.
That's one of those face-offs that's going to happen, and the crowd's going to go ape shit.
It's going to be amazing. That moment can last 2.5 minutes, just the two of them looking across the ring at each other. I love it.
Everybody else, and what I would do if I were them is I would have everybody else looking on, like all the wrestlers. Like, no, they're not taken out. Like, they're just like, what's going to happen? What is about to happen here? Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for that.
It's going to be such a.
They probably won't do it. They probably won't do it.
They probably won't even go through with it. Yeah, they probably won't.
Usos versus Headbangers. This was good for all involved to an extent. The Usos won a very quick match. They should not have won by roll-up. They should have jobbed these guys out.
They should have, yeah.
Meanwhile, the Headbangers are going to keep getting indie bookings off of this. Good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Even though Thrasher tries to charge people for interviews, Virgil style. Yeah, they'll get indie bookings off of it. Usos win. They're in the tag match. They should be in the tag match. If you remember, in those like crazy 8-10-man tags back in the Shield days, that's when these two guys were in their prime. Now, we've never seen them in this type of situation as heels. Who knows how anybody will work at Survivor Series, heel babyface. Right. You just don't know. But I'm a sucker for Survivor Series matches. But like I keep saying, they add some stakes to these. If I were SmackDown, I would, because Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon are really good about this kind of thing. I would say, hey, okay, the winners are going to get title shots, or we'll owe them or something. And then Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon will feel to one-up them. That sense of competition among GMs as well, where these guys have to outdo each other in motivating their superstars. I think it could be really good. I think Survivor Series can be awesome.
Yeah.
I do. It's good that Dean Ambrose booted James Ellsworth out. Ambrose should absolutely be a street-smart guy.
Yeah.
That should be his thing. I don't know if you ever watched the Road Warriors DVD.
Mm-mm.
But Road Warrior Animal said that a really important thing for him is that Hawk and Animal were street smart. And it's like there were just situations he wouldn't make himself look like a fool.
Right.
Like they could get beaten and attacked and jumped, but you're not going to out street smart two guys from the streets in the Road Warriors. Dean Ambrose should be just like that. You are not going to outsmart him like that. He will not be one-upped in that sense. And it's kind of a shame because when John Cena was around, Dean Ambrose was tiptoeing that heel face line, and damn, it was getting good.
Yeah.
It was getting real good. But with Ellsworth here, he kind of has to be the wacky guy, but yeah.
Yeah, that's particularly my problem with this whole thing is that he's stuck doing that. When what he was doing when he was in that feud with Cena and Styles was the best Dean Ambrose I'd ever seen. And now he's gone back to being, you know, at least today, less wacky than the last couple of weeks. But I mean, it has not been the same caliber of Dean Ambrose as there was before No Mercy.
AJ Styles is awesome. They had a good match.
Mm-hmm.
But during this match, I was wondering how many times am I supposed to want to see it? Well, I'm completely down for TLC with these two. 100% cool with it. I just wonder how they're going to stretch it. They got to work together at Survivor Series. I'm sure that'll be something in the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how they take things leading into Survivor Series because everybody that's feuding has to work with each other.
Right.
But if you do that throughout the show the entire time for the next 3 weeks, it's going to suck real bad.
Right. They only have to fill 2 more episodes of SmackDown before Survivor Series.
Yeah.
So the thing is that it's going to be really difficult for me to buy, like, you know, hey, we need you 2 guys to work together on November 20th. So tonight you're going to fight against each other in a steel cage. Like that doesn't help. And I feel like that's going to happen on both shows, Raw and SmackDown.
I would love on SmackDown them to do like 5-on-5 matches with those guys, like trying to get their chemistry together.
That'd be cool.
And they face like maybe the 5 teams, maybe whatever teams aren't in there or whatever single stars aren't in there. Try to make it work. I think that would be cool. I got to say this too. AJ Styles, everywhere else, that moonsault reverse DDT, hit or miss. He hasn't missed it in WWE one time that I've seen.
Yeah, it's been good.
A work of art. I like the finish, and I like the use of Ellsworth running. He juked those security guards out of their ACLs.
Oh,
that was so funny. It looked like when my cat gets outside, and we don't let our cats outside, and I'm trying to chase it. One doesn't have a tail, so you can't track the tail. You can't.
Right.
You're supposed to track the hips, but you can't track the hips, and it just sends me diving at air. That's like what he was doing to these Keystone cops that were chasing him.
Oh boy,
bunch of errand boys, as I like to call them.
Yes.
Getting juked by an errand boy at that.
Right.
Dean Ambrose, in his half-hearted way of like, oh, thanks, James, picked him up.
Well, and then dropped him.
We're holding him, and then dropped him. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What did you think of the match?
I thought the match was very good. I mean, these 2 guys have good matches against each other. I like that there was this great series of reversals that they pulled out, like 4 or 5 in a row, that they had obviously worked out really, really well. And I like when there's a point where there's exactly that sweet spot where you haven't seen them wrestle each other too much, and they've wrestled each other just enough to know how to counter the other guy's shit. I really like that a lot. There's that great sweet spot. That's where they are now, and that's where they're going to be on December 4th at TLC, and I think that's it. Then you got to move on. You know what I mean? If AJ beats Dean, that's it. Now he's going to move on to something else because you're going to get dangerously close to kind of ruining that. But I am excited to see. Somebody said this thing of that they wanted Braun to like just wreck shop on the SmackDown people, and then wind up being like just Ambrose and Styles having to work together to go against all of Team Raw. Like, there's a lot of different kinds of cool ideas you could have with how to make this Survivor Series match work. There's so many different storylines you can use. I'm very excited to see where they go with it.
So that's it for SmackDown. We have a little bit of news. before we get into the wrestling news, the WBA have sanctioned a world title fight between Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. That fight was supposed to happen on December 10th, but Klitschko got hurt. Joshua will face Eric Molina. He got some flack for that, but I mean, he was going to face Klitschko. But 2017 looking promising for boxing, even though the last 2 months of 2016 aren't looking too hot. But either way, we got the Ward fight next weekend. We have, or not this weekend, the weekend after that, Pacquiao this weekend. Live viewing parties for both of those from our own Carlos Toro. Alex, the Raw ratings were in the crapper this week.
Yep.
2.60 million for a Goldberg appearance. Now, it was Halloween. At the same time, I don't know a lot of people that have their kids out trick-or-treating at 10 at night to make those numbers go at 2.46 million.
And in some parts of the country, trick-or-treating isn't even on Halloween.
Sure.
And for me, it was on the Saturday before. You know what I mean? Like, it was just – that's when the neighborhood decides all the kids can come out and trick-or-treat was on Saturday during daylight hours. You know what I mean? So that's not really an excuse. The other thing is you can't say that, the Goldberg thing was, it hurt the Goldberg didn't matter because the highest rated hour was the first hour when Goldberg was there. Everything trailed off after that. And during the first hour, they say, hey, everybody stick around. We're going to see Roman Reigns fight Chris Jericho. And the third hour was the worst. So, I don't know what to do at this point. There's a lot of it, I think, has got to be the election. So we'll see if in 2 or 3 weeks that dies down. But
yeah, a lot of the shows that beat out Raw are political shows that do not usually beat out Raw outside of an election season. I know one thing, I don't watch anything remotely political outside of a couple of comedy shows.
Right.
But I have had my face glued to every debate, all kinds of coverage, trigtent.com, stuff like that, this election season. Which, I mean, this is a remarkable, unique shit show of an election season. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. So this is definitely a different type of situation. This very well could be an anomaly because, like I said, I've never seen an election like this before. Now, at the same time, there was a writer who I really respect who said, well, Roman Reigns isn't to blame for these ratings dropping. Well, I mean, it's a collaborative effort. If people don't want to see that guy, they're not going to want to tune in and watch him. And since November of 2013, I think ratings have dropped 25%. 25%. And the thing that I'm comparing that to, the numbers I'm comparing it to were like lows for that year. So it's even more in comparison. It's back 25% is a lot. Now, consumption is a lot different. When people ask me about the popularity of wrestling and how ratings matter, it's really, really hard for me to say because we don't know. It's so hard to tell because shows are consumed so differently now. Cable's a lot different. Satellite's a lot different. There's the internet. It's so difficult. There's Hulu. The people stream the shit on YouTube within 6 hours. Alex, people pirate our show, and our show is free.
I know.
I didn't know that was a thing that could happen until somebody says, do you know that your podcast is on a torrent site? And I said, why the hell is it on a torrent site? It's free. It's I don't know. And Alex, you would think that there are a better way. There's a better metric for this. It cannot be hard for DirecTV to like collect data, right? I mean, there used to be a thing on my DirecTV. I would take my little remote here, and it would say who's watching what the most in like West Coast, Central, East Coast. It can't be hard for them to do it.
Right.
And if I'm DirecTV, I have the networks buy into that program and make a little money on the backside.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's got to be a better way.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, it's difficult for me to say because you're right. People, consume this stuff in different ways. Before I was working for Fightful, I wasn't watching Raw and SmackDown live. I was watching it on Hulu the next day. That's just the way I watch things because I just, that's just the way I decided to consume stuff. So, everybody is watching it in different ways, and watching things on DVR even. It's just fast forwarding through stuff has become the norm. So, that's what we people are trying to do. So I'm not worried about it necessarily because as far as I can tell, there's a downtick every fall because of Monday Night Football, even though football ratings are down too right now. But, we'll see how things generate. I just don't want the thing is that you always hear about Vince panicking and blaming the performers rather than the awful creative that's behind things that nobody wants.
And I don't know if it's awful creative as much as it is him nixing so much. When I talk to
right.
I would talk to Chris DeJoseph and Court Bauer, and they would tell me, like, dude, we pitched so much stuff. And to be fair, I think Lucha Underground has waned significantly, but they had 2 full seasons of awesome content with like 2 or 3 guys writing the show, one of them being Chris DeJoseph. And I asked him one time if he used anything that he didn't use at WWE, and he was like, nope, not really. So, man, I don't know. It's a very, very odd situation. Now, also an odd situation, TNA and Challenge TV have parted ways. There is more to this story than people are realizing from what I'm hearing. TNA put out the news first, which is unusual. You'll notice that nobody has said that the show was not renewed. I know that TNA wants to get it out a lot quicker than Challenge was willing to do. From what I understand, both wanted the thing to keep going, but it's not. I don't think TNA will have a problem finding a home in the UK. I've had a lot of people say, oh, yes, they will. No, they'll be on TV in the UK in January. Mark it down. Mark it down. Did you see the Daniel Bryan video where he talked about retirement to Brie Bella?
I haven't clicked on it yet. I know all about it. I read the transcript and everything. It's sad. I don't feel like I want to subject myself to that sadness. I know I will at some point, maybe tonight, but
really heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah.
That's up on the site right now, guys. As always, on our video section. Goldberg says that he hasn't trained in a wrestling ring. Boy, that showed on Monday, didn't it?
Oh man, I watched that again today. I can't believe that just kneeing a dude in the chest was just too much for him.
I thought he tore something. I was scared. I was hurt.
He looks like one of those
for him.
He looked like somebody slips and falls in the shower. That's what he looked like.
Then I read this quote. Here's what he said. I haven't been in the ring yet. That's the only thing after the 12 years is that probably the most important thing to reacquaint yourself. But I'm going in for one match. I'm not going to get in the ring for 20 days to reacclimate myself to hitting the ropes because hopefully the only thing that I'll be hitting is my fist hitting Brock's face and him hitting the mat. So the reality is I'm going to be taken to Suplex City. I'm going to take some suplexes in this thing. It is what it is. It ain't like I didn't play in the NFL, dude. I may be old, but I know what I'm getting myself into. Does he? Because it didn't look like he did on Monday.
Nope. No. Now, it's kind of painfully obvious that they hadn't run through that bit on Monday. And, yeah, I mean, that's all talk, obviously. Obviously, he is going to get in the ring at some point between now and Survivor Series. But it's just a weird thing that you think that's a way of getting the match over is by coming out and saying, I'm not going to practice for this at all. It's going to be great.
Remember that shitty match we had 12 years ago? Well, I haven't even been in the ring ahead of this one.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Everybody loves a car crash, I guess. Everybody loves stopping and gawking and watching. Yeesh. I'm back tomorrow evening with Showdown Joe, you guys. Make sure to tune in for that. I'm going to talk a little bit of MMA, so I will bid Alex adieu. But before that, also, I wanted to get into some rumors. Apparently, Tony Nese and Drew Gulak, not under contract to WWE, they're still under contract with Evolve. Does that surprise you, Alex, that WWE is willing to use people who are contracted for another promotion, now one that will be on a different platform?
Right.
Does that surprise you?
I mean, I guess I just kind of assumed that if you're on the big show, if you're on Raw, that they've got at least got something worked out for you. But, I mean, they're major parts of this division at this point. They're the second-tier heels in this division. So it would be kind of weird to not have them around, but yeah, I mean, I hope they get something worked out because I really like where those guys could go. I'm hoping that something comes of it.
Alex, anything to tell the people before I kick you off the show?
Well, sure. I'll be starting next week full time as the associate editor of Fightful.com. Looking forward to that. Also, the reaction pieces have been taking a back seat right now, but they will be back in full force next week once I have realized am back in full time and I have time to do stuff. Looking forward to that. I've been taking all of this time that I have now. Before I get into full time, I want to jump in with both feet on Monday. So I am actually taking apart one of our rooms and starting to turn it into a nursery so that I don't have to do that.
Oh, man.
I know. Starting to do that before we actually the baby comes, so I don't have to do that during my Fightful hours. But looking forward to being more of an influence around here, trying to get Sean Ross Sapp to maybe see things my way.
Hey, that ain't going to happen.
And of course, I just wanted you to know that I got a lot of flack from you last night about not being professional, and I'll have you know that behind me now, there's no Halloween spook spectacular.
Oh, come on.
I was able to get rid of that.
Is that a mini fridge, though? I have one, too.
Yeah, mini fridge. Gotta stay hydrated while I'm doing my writing.
Yeah.
But for the month of December, I've decided to wear a different ugly Christmas sweater every podcast.
Hey, I can get behind that. I wore a different ugly American T-shirt every week or every day during the Olympics when I podcasted.
That was actually my inspiration, and so now I've decided behind me will be a festive light show, and there may be a little Christmas tree back there because I'm nothing if not a festive guy.
I regret that decision, though, because I have way too many, like, you've only got, like, a Memorial Day, 4th of July. I don't have that many. The World Cup, I can wear them during the World Cup whenever that happens.
Once every 4 years, that'd be good.
Yeah, and then the Olympics, too. Yeah. I can wear those every 2 years for the Olympics, then every 4 years for the World Cup.
There's Flag Day. There's President's Day.
That's a good one. Yeah, hey, maybe it wasn't such a bad choice after all.
There you go.
Either way, Alex, get the hell off the show.
Goodbye.
So, guys, Ronda Rousey appeared on Ellen, said that this is going to be one of her last fights. No surprise there. She has said before that she didn't want to fight into her 30s, and she considered 30 not her 30s. And she's about to hit that age. I think she might be 30 now. No, she's 29. So maybe she fights into 2017, maybe the beginning of 2018, but I don't think it's that much of a surprise that she's going to do that. Now, I've had a lot of people ask me if I think that she'll get into WWE. I think she will absolutely at least do one match in WWE. I think that's in her heart. I think that's something that she would want to do. But she also sees that careers don't last forever, as the Holly Holm fight showed her. She's going to make a lot of money and get out of the sport, and good for her. And if she ever wants to come back, she will have that extra payday, and she'll be able to make a lot of money, a whole lot of money. So more power to her. Now, the only thing I say is it's something Dana White says all the time. You can't be half-assed in MMA. You're going to get your ass kicked, probably. Either way, I'm intrigued for this Nunes fight with Ronda Rousey because she plays to a lot of Rousey's strengths, but as we saw, Amanda Nunes doesn't really care about anybody's game plan and doesn't really hold up for anybody. So it'll be cool to see that. Also, Luke Rockhold versus Jacare Souza off. That sucks. Can't wait to hear what what Michael Bisping has to say about that after all the trash that Luke Rockhold's talked. So I'm hoping Jacare gets moved to UFC 206. It could use it, but I don't think he will. It's just a pipe dream at this point. But I think he should. I think they need to reschedule him for this fall. Yoel Romero and Chris Weidman got to be happy because I know a lot of people thought that Weidman or Romero would have immediately got the shot. That's not the case from what I heard. I heard it was very much an impress me situation the UFC had going with those four. It's almost a shame that Musashi was booked so quickly against Uriah Hall, but I know he wants that win back really, really badly because Musashi versus Jacare, that would have been really cool. Definitely worthy of in a UFC show. We've got exclusives from Scott Coker, Phil Davis, Liam McGeary, Marlos Kunin, Sergey Karatanov, all kinds of stuff this week on Fightful.com for you MMA fans. Muhammad Ali's son-in-law, Kevin Casey, signed with Bellator MMA. That's fine, but I get the feeling that if he wasn't Muhammad Ali's son-in-law, he probably wouldn't have got that spot. I don't think that can be denied, but that's Bellator's thing. They do pretty good at marketing that sort of thing. So I've seen worse. I've seen much worse than Kevin Casey getting signed by Bellator. Scott Coker tells me they have plans for the heavyweight title first quarter of 2017. They've got Congo, Lashley, Mitrione, Karatanov. If I were them, I'd put those four together unless the Fedor fight's happening, but you can't rely on Fedor to be around for more than one fight, especially the way that he is. Yeah. My buddy Dwayne Finley reported that Mitrione and Fedor may be fighting early next year. Tomorrow evening with Showdown Joe, finally, after a month, we have some UFC this weekend, this Saturday. I'd say we'll probably do a show on Sunday afternoon. That show is not big enough for me to dictate you all to stay up until 1 a.m. on the East Coast, or stay up really till 2:30 a.m. watching us. So we'll probably do that Sunday afternoon. Why not? If there's anything you all want to see on the site, follow us at Fightful Online, Twitter, Facebook. Tell us. Let us know. Tag some people. Hey, tag wrestlers, tag fighters. Say, we want Fightful to interview you. We want them to talk to you. We want to hear what they have to say. Do it. Let people know about Fightful.com. Your support is very important to our success. I want to thank you all so much. We met a traffic goal this week. I was very, very, very happy about that. Somebody says, Alex, with the greater sign than SRS. Hey, you wish, buddy. Get back in the ditch where you belong. Alex is awesome. Somebody says, Sean, you answering questions? Yeah. I'll answer some questions. I have a few minutes. Somebody says, Sean, I know this is off subject, but I'm trying to convince my mom to watch you live on YouTube instead of watching her Spanish soap opera shows. Mark Jindrak does some Spanish soap opera. He's made a good career of that from what I understand. What else we got? Somebody says, Sean, what are your three favorite bands? My three favorite bands. Rage Against the Machine, Royal Blood, and Sublime are probably my three favorite bands. Without a doubt, those three. Do you think stakes will be added to Survivor Series? No, I don't. I think they'll expect us to care about them without them, but I hope they do. They need to. Sean, who do you think is the most improved women's wrestler on the WWE roster this year? Probably Alexa Bliss. She has gotten pretty damn good really fast. Somebody says DirecTV Active is still available. It teaches or it tells you what's being watched by who in the world. I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I do see that. The What's Hot, the most popular shows on DirecTV as of, but I don't have mine hooked up to the internet for some reason. So, somebody says, SRS, they are taping next week's Smackdown, right? Yeah, it'll be taped ahead of time, like by a few hours, because they'll be in Europe. But yes, we will have spoilers on that. I hate spoilers. I really do. But, you know. By the way, guys, we will be having like live NXT spoiler posts. I know I missed a couple of those. Those things come out of nowhere to me. They really do. I don't like have it set in my mind to win Smackdown or when NXT tapes rather, but I will in the future. That will be happening. WWE Blogger Diva says SRS versus Ambrose. No, he's my hometown guy. I'm not going to fight Ambrose. Plus, he'd kick my ass. Somebody says, Sean, when do you think John Jones will finally come back and who will be fighting? So his situation's they haven't made a ruling on it. If I were to guess, I would say that he ends up with a 6-month suspension and he'll be back January, maybe for the Super Bowl card. Maybe. Sean, do you think Conor and Eddie will go 5 rounds or there will be a KO? I think it'll be a KO. I do. Between those two, I do. Conor better be working on his cardio, and I don't know how much cardio he can work on with that he had that injured foot for a while. Somebody says Survivor Series will go down in WWE history as one of the top 5 worst all-time pay-per-views. You heard it here first. No, it won't. I can guarantee you that. If it does, I will quit my job. How about that? Somebody says Neville should challenge Ziggler. I don't know. Somebody says Cincinnati on a pole match. Loser can't come back to the city. Well, I know the person who commented that definitely doesn't want me staying away from Cincinnati anytime soon. Somebody says Smackdown Live in parentheses taped. Sublime? Yeah, I love Sublime. Sublime's awesome. I like Sublime with Rome too. Not as much as Sublime, but I like Sublime with Rome. Who is the most improved male wrestler on the roster? Ooh. Damn. Yeah, I'd probably have to say The Miz, even though he was near this good before. I think he's improved quite a bit in the ring. Pretty good stuff. Somebody says, do you see Ziggler losing the IC title? Eventually, sure. On that, you know what? Maybe, but then he would get his mandatory rematch. With Roman holding the U.S. title and seemingly only fighting upper-tier wrestlers on Raw, you have a massive bank of wrestlers treading water. Look at the Battle Royal last night. Loads with nothing to fight for. There weren't a lot of big talents in that Battle Royal, really. There was Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Sheamus, but they're in the tag division. You see any spots on the Survivor Series teams being left open for surprise returns/debuts? Well, there's one spot left on the Raw men's roster, and it's going to Seth Rollins. It is. SmackDown's is figured out. We have 3 of the teams set for SmackDown's tag teams. Wouldn't put it past them to let somebody debut for that. The women's, maybe even no. I think they got that set too because Naomi was named. Hard to tell. I mean, it's always open. Like I'm sure that they would have loved to have done something with Trish Stratus in Toronto, but they didn't do it. She's pregnant now. Either way, guys, visit Fightful.com. Please share our articles on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook groups. That helps a whole lot. Share our stories. I can't tell you how important it is to us that you share the stories. It really gets it out there. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. I am back tomorrow night with Showdown Joe. Lots of cool stuff coming to Fightful.com as always. Guys, until next time, we are out.